Okay, so here's the issue. I've been with my girlfriend for a year. We began our relationship in October 2022. When February 2023 came around, she told me that I had to ask her to be my Valentine. I thought it was a bit odd since we were already in a relationship, but I still asked her anyway, another day by text. 2 days before Valentine's, she calls me crying because apparently I didn't ask her right. Apparently you have to do it in person or else it doesn't count. I didn't even know Valentine's Day had rules so specific, but I stepped in to fix it anyway. I visited her a day before Valentine's, brought her a small gift, and asked her to be my Valentine. All good. Now, a year later, February 2024, I remembered that I have to ask her to be my Valentine. What I didn't remember is that it needed to be in person. She was sad that I didn't remember, so I stepped in again and fixed it. I picked her up from work and gave her a small gift, asking her in person. Valentine's Day rolls in. I buy her 5 yellow flowers that I thought looked pretty, $20,000 vibrator, and a book that she likes but couldn't get. Everything on the date seemed all right. She seemed happy. A week later, this Sunday, she told me that she needed to talk to me, so we planned to talk on Monday night as soon as I came home from college. I called her and she was crying. She told me that I should have remembered how I had to ask her to be my Valentine from last year, how the flowers were the wrong color, how the flowers didn't even look like romantic flowers, and just some flowers with a few leaves that I plucked from somewhere, how I should have given her a gift that she was actually waiting to receive instead of a vibrator, etc. In the end, I just said that I will do better. To be honest, I didn't even know Valentine's Day was so complicated. I didn't know there were so many specific rules and restrictions about what to do and what to gift. I have to ask her to be my Valentine, but only if it's before Valentine's Day and only if it's in person. I have to give her flowers, but only if they are red and only if they look like a romantic flower arrangement. I have to give her a gift, but only if it's a gift that she had previously mentioned that she wanted such gift and only if it can be shown to her mom. Man, what the frick? I'm just trying to be a good boyfriend. Where does she get all of these specific rules and restrictions? Is this like a normal thing that women expect? Where do they even learn all this? From rom-coms and Instagram reels. I'm not trying to be sexist. I just want to know where I can read the rules of this freaking game. This might sound like I don't love her. I do love her and she makes me super happy. I'm just tired of being told that I'm doing things the wrong way. I really thought that being romantic was about the intention, not the action within a list of parameters. So today I made a Word document in which I wrote every detail that I remembered. I know, kind of weird, but I really needed to have all of these Valentine's Day rules written somewhere. I don't want her to call me crying again because I forgot to wear the appropriate shoes or because the flowers didn't have the correct number of petals. I sent her the Word document so she can verify that all the rules are written clearly. And she just got more upset because this doesn't feel right. I don't understand how to do better. Edit. Thank you all for your kind responses. I needed some outside perspective because I didn't feel like it was fair to ask her to lower her standards, you know. Also, I genuinely wasn't trying to be sexist. I too see some Instagram reels where boyfriends go absolutely romantic with their partners, and I wanted to know if women make real expectations out of those. Again, thank you for your kindness. Edit 2. Okay, a lot of people are asking what did she do for me on Valentine's Day. She gave me a small Lego set as a gift, which I liked. But the rest of the day, I was the lead on the Valentine's Day date. I took her to a park with little boats that you can ride, and I took her to a restaurant. I never thought she had to do something too. She always says I have to be the one who plans stuff, so she doesn't have to make stressful decisions thinking about dates. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This behavior is not okay. She is using covert contracts. That means she is setting you up to fail. Whether consciously or unconsciously is irrelevant, because the result is the same. Here's the response to that. I understand you think I can read your mind, but I want you to understand that I cannot read your mind, and I never will be able to. If you want something, you need to use words and tell me what you want beforehand. It's not acceptable to get upset with me about something I didn't know. I am not a mind reader, and neither are other human beings. Words are how to communicate things that are important. Comment 2. She is 23 and acts like she is in middle school, so I think that you need to run because middle school girls are some of the most dangerous creatures on earth. Now, for the update. Thank you for sticking around for this update. So, after the whole Valentine's mess, things took a turn. My girlfriend's birthday was coming up, and I was determined to get it right this time. I planned a surprise party, invited all her friends, and even managed to get her favorite band to play a set. It was perfect, or so I thought. The night of the party, she walked in and her face lit up with surprise and joy. But as the night went on, she pulled me aside, her smile fading. She was upset that I hadn't consulted her on the guest list. Apparently, there were a couple of people she wasn't on good terms with, and now she was uncomfortable. I tried to apologize, but she brushed it off, saying the night was ruined. The next day, she was distant. I tried to talk to her about it, but she said she needed space. I gave her a week, then reached out again. She agreed to meet up, and that's when she dropped the surprise. She'd been seeing someone else for the past month. She said she didn't feel appreciated and that this other guy got her. I was floored. All this time I've been trying to play by her rules, and she was out there breaking the most important one. I felt like a fool. I was angry, hurt, and confused. I had poured so much into this relationship, trying to meet her expectations, and it was never enough. I confronted her about the cheating, and she had the audacity to turn it around on me, saying if I'd paid more attention to her needs, she wouldn't have strayed. That was the last straw. I told her we were done. I couldn't be with someone who manipulated and betrayed me like that. The aftermath was messy. Friends took sides, and there were a lot of heated arguments. I lost some mutual friends, but I also saw who my true allies were. It was a tough time, but it was also freeing. I no longer had to play by her impossible rules. Just when I thought I could start moving on, she showed up at my place one evening, crying, saying she'd made a mistake and wanted me back. She promised she'd change, that we could go back to how things were. But I knew better. I couldn't trust her, not after everything. I told her it was over for good, that I couldn't be with someone who didn't respect me. She pleaded, but I stood my ground. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but it was also necessary. I had to think about my own well-being. In the end, I learned a lot about myself and what I want in a relationship. I want a partner, not someone who sets up hoops for me to jump through. I want trust, respect, and honesty, and I'm not going to settle for less. Thank you for reading. My sister accuses my husband of abuse. But when he confesses to cheating, I make sure she regrets every lie she spread. I appreciate all the advice I can get. So basically, my husband and I have been married for 2 years. My sister, for God knows why, has developed an obsession with trying to prove that my husband abuses me. First, she started in on emotional abuse. She claimed that the fact that he has opinions on my outfits, I asked them, makes him controlling and manipulative. I said, girl, no. I'm asking. And also, even if I had an outfit and he didn't like it, I'd probably still wear it if I wanted. I wear tiny clothes all the time when we go out. He likes it. At the very least, doesn't mind. She found the outfit thing out when I sent him a pic before going out with her. Well, once I got her off that, it was onto the financial abuse. He doesn't want her to work. Not true. He literally told me, I don't have to work if I don't want to. She found that out by reading through my texts. I was having a hard day at work, pediatric oncology nurse, and texted him. He responded by saying, I'm sorry. Can I do anything? And you don't have to that job anymore if you don't want to. Once I convinced her and the rest of my family, she told, that no, my husband wasn't financially harassing me. It turned to intimacy. She would freaking interrogate me about our intimacy life. I made the dire mistake of telling her I had a UTI, and she jumped to, he makes you have intimacy too much. Not true. That died down after a few weeks. But now she's interested in telling everyone I'm beaten by my husband, like Jesus flipping Christ. And it all stemmed from the fact she was at our house one day with my other sister and brother. Me and my husband went upstairs because I was overwhelmed with her intervention. totally unrelated to my husband. And of course, as fate has it, this is the day I fall up the stairs in a crying state. I thought I broke my wrist, just sprained it, and I'm dramatic LOL. And I had a few bad bruises on my forearms from where I caught the banister. Of course, this turned into, her husband shoved her down the stairs. Like I love my sister, but God, I can't handle this. My husband finally snapped at her, causing a bad argument between him and my other sister. My brother took our side. Like she's literally splitting our family, and over what? What the frick do I do? There's simply no way a lot of people have dealt with this. But if you have had anything similar, what did you do? Anyone else have a crazy butt sister? I don't want to cut my sister off, but there's not seeming to be any other options. I'm open to hearing if any of you have them. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Boundaries. It might sound harsh, but your family is your responsibility, and your husband should not have to put up with this. If she mentions him in a negative way, you leave. If she wants a relationship with you, she has to respect your spouse. Period. It might be helpful to think of yourself as the mommy's boy we see on Reddit all the time, with your sister being the mother-in-law from hell. Stop putting him through that. You're trying to be a good sister, but in reality, you're not being a good wife. Boundaries. You are in charge of yourself. You will not allow anyone to disrespect your husband. If they do, you leave. If they continue, no contact. Your sister can decide if she prefers a relationship with you or not. Comment 2. I'm honestly baffled by her behavior, because even if you were in a hurtful relationship, her actions are not how you get a loved one out of that kind of situation. I agree with the other posters. Sit her down again and set some firm boundaries. I would also add that if she continues, you will be forced to cut her out of your life and will be seeking legal advice. OP, not only are her lies disturbing and causing harm within your family, but they could have real-world consequences. What happens to your husband if she starts blasting this to the world? Now, for the update. Thanks to everyone who took the time to read my last post. Well, things have escalated beyond belief. My sister, the one who's been accusing my husband of all sorts, decided to take matters into her own hands. She went behind my back and called the police, claiming she had evidence of my husband's abuse. The cops showed up at our door, and I was mortified. They questioned us, looked around, and found nothing, because there's nothing to find. My husband was furious, and I was just embarrassed. I thought that was the worst of it, but I was wrong. The next day, I found out my sister had been spreading rumors all over town. Friends started looking at me with pity in their eyes, and I could tell they were talking behind my back. I felt so betrayed. I confronted her, and she just doubled down, saying she was saving me. I couldn't believe it. I was so angry, I told her I never wanted to see her again. It was a moment of pure rage, and I regretted it instantly. But the damage was done. My husband tried to be supportive, but I could tell this was taking a toll on him. He started coming home late, saying he needed to clear his head. I was worried, but I didn't want to push him. Then, one night, he didn't come home at all. I was frantic. It turned out he'd been in a bar fight, defending my honor against some guy who'd heard the rumors and made a nasty comment. He ended up in jail for the night. I had to bail him out, and the look of shame on his face was something I'll never forget. The aftermath was a mess. My family was divided, with some siding with my sister and others with me. My brother, who had been on our side, now kept his distance, not wanting to get involved in the drama anymore. It felt like my whole world was crumbling. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, my sister showed up at my work. She caused a scene, crying and begging for forgiveness, saying she'd made a terrible mistake. She told me she'd been seeing a therapist and realized she was projecting her own failed relationship onto mine. I was in shock. Part of me wanted to forgive her, but another part of me couldn't forget the chaos she'd caused. I let her back into my life, cautiously. But that's when the real news dropped. My husband, who had been distant since the bar incident, sat me down and confessed that the night he didn't come home, he'd been with someone else. He said it was a one-time thing, a mistake made out of anger and hurt. I was devastated. I felt like a fool for letting my sister back in, for thinking we could move past all this. Now I'm stuck in this terrible situation. I've forgiven my sister, who was the root of all this trouble. And I'm trying to forgive my husband, but I don't know if I can. It feels like I'm living in a bad dream and I can't wake up. I'm trying to hold on to what's left of my family, but I'm not sure if it's worth it anymore. Thanks for sticking with me through this update. My boyfriend's family turns my home into a zoo with their 9 cats and steals from me. So I kick them out and take back my life by focusing on my business and leaving him to deal with the mess alone. I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 4 years, living together for about 2. I'll cut to the chase. His family, mom, dad, and sister, suffered a house fire in January, and they stayed with us in our 1-bedroom apartment for a couple weeks until their insurance got them a hotel. Now they are in the hotel. His family had 10 cats, and 9 of those cats are in the apartment with us currently. So it's me, him, and 9 cats right now. They pay for the food and litter, but I've bought them a cat tower and some toys. They've basically destroyed my couch, but I figured they would, and it was a cheap couch. This past Sunday, 2 days ago, they went to see a realtor to talk about buying a house. Where they lived was a place they rented for a decade, and the landlord was pissed about the fire. So they don't want to go back there even when the house is fixed. My boyfriend was supposed to be the one on the loan because his parents aren't citizens and would have to pay a lot on a down payment. But since he has a social security number, he can get a regular rate. The problem is, he doesn't make enough on his own. If I went in with him on the loan, our combined income would be enough to qualify. If I go in on the loan, we could stay with his family in the house and save for our own home later. We'd have more space, which would be great because I'm trying to start a business. And I wouldn't be living in the 1-bedroom with 9 cats. But it's also a 30-year mortgage loan. He has told me that whatever I decide to do won't affect our relationship. But I'm afraid this will for me. If I don't decide to go on the loan, his parents said they'll get a trailer and take the cats. But his sister, 19, would still probably end up living with us because her job is close to us, and she doesn't drive. I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like no matter what I do, I'm losing something. I'm so conflicted. I've asked the advice of my mom and some friends, and they think they're asking too much. But if I don't go in on the house, I'm still in this apartment that costs too much and adding an extra person to our space. So I'm asking, should I just let them put my name on the mortgage loan? Or should I accept that his sister will be living with us? I hate to add any more elements of stress to their lives because they've already been through so much, but now it's leaking into my life. A lot. Edit? So this got a lot of attention fast. I'd like to clear up that they aren't pressuring me, but it's obviously a tense situation for them. Because, their housing is on the line. They're just kind of at the mercy of insurance paying for their hotel. It's a desperate situation and a desperate ask. I will talk to my boyfriend today about different options. I spoke to my mom, who is a homeowner, and she advised against this. But seeing all of your reasons as well, like not being able to get a second mortgage because of this one, is a nail in the coffin. I'll suggest his sister stay with us as long as she is looking for another place of her own, and encourage her to maybe look to roommate with a good friend of hers, maybe. I knew this would be a risky move, but seeing how much it really takes from me, just no. I will update later, but have peace of mind that I will not be taking out a mortgage for his family. Edit. This house would be in my name, on the deed. The cats are not destroying my apartment. As so many people are assuming, just the couch. I obviously care about these people, which is why I would even consider it. So please stop creating a story in your head where I'm some sucker wanting to be scammed. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If you go in on the loan and they do not, then they would be staying in your house, and you would already own your own home, that one. And yet they are presenting this as some kind of favor they are doing you. Oh, and you will never get a mortgage on somewhere else for just the 2 of you until this one is paid off in 30 years. This would be throwing your life away. Comment 2. Do not do it. I'm sorry for your boyfriend's family, but do not do it. This can easily get you trapped. If you consider it, meet with a lawyer and get a contract that is for your benefit and does not leave you with the costs for all this. What if you do it and your boyfriend leaves anyway? Anyway, that sounds very fishy to me. If you were my client, I would tell you as an accountant to stay away from this. You are just the girlfriend, and you are in a position easily abused and used. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. Well, things took a turn for the worse. My boyfriend's sister, who was supposed to stay with us temporarily, brought over her boyfriend without asking. They both started living in our already cramped space, and it was clear they had no intention of leaving. It was like they were taking over our lives, and I felt like I was losing my mind. Then, out of nowhere, my boyfriend's parents announced they were moving back to their home country. They said the insurance money wasn't enough, and they had no choice. They left last week, and guess what? They took only one cat with them. Now we're stuck with 8 cats, and I'm allergic. I can't believe they just up and left like that, leaving us to deal with the mess. My boyfriend was devastated, but he tried to hide it. He started working extra hours to distract himself, leaving me to handle his sister and her boyfriend, who were now arguing all the time. It was like living in a reality show I never signed up for. I reached my breaking point when I found out they were stealing from me. Small amounts of cash at first, then my jewelry started disappearing. I confronted them, and it was a huge blowout. They denied everything, of course, but I knew the truth. I told them they had to leave, and it was the most difficult thing I've ever done. They left, but not without making a scene that had the neighbors peeking through their curtains. After they were gone, I felt a mix of relief and guilt. But then, my boyfriend came home early one day and caught me packing my bags. I couldn't take it anymore. The lies, the cheating of my space and trust, the shame of being walked all over. It was too much. He begged me to stay, but I couldn't look at him the same way. I realized he was part of the problem, allowing his family to treat me like this. I moved out and into a small studio. It's quiet, no cats, no uninvited guests. I'm focusing on my business now, and it's starting to take off. I heard through a mutual friend that my boyfriend's sister and her boyfriend broke up, and she's struggling to find a place to live. I feel for her, but I can't help but think it's the consequence of her actions. As for my ex-boyfriend, he's trying to make amends, but I'm not ready to forgive. Maybe one day, but not now. I'm just trying to rebuild my life and find some semblance of normalcy again. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.